Hello and welcome to Charlemagne, Master of Europe. This is a Hollandspiel game. I've never played Hollandspiel games before. This will be my first one. And I got this at the recommendation of a viewer, actually, and a request. So we're going to give it a try. And I've never played it before. So that's my first caveat. If you don't mind me flipping through rules, well, I try to remember things. I have read the rule book and reviewed everything. It's not a very large game compared to like D-Day at Iwo Jima. I think we can probably get through a game in probably a half hour. It's got a lot of lost conditions, so we could actually lose a game within 30 seconds. So, in fact, you can lose on the first turn even. Let's give it a try. And I'll give the usual thing. If you're looking for, if you want to skip setup and some basic rules, go to video 2. And if you want to skip me flipping through rule books, just go to a second or third playthrough if I have one recorded. Because the more playthroughs I have, obviously, the more mastery I get. And that's been true with all the games, including Space Corps and the D-Day games, etc. So one of the flaws with, my way of doing this is as you know, it's a flaw or a bonus, is I always ask people to join me at the table. Well, you're joining me at the table while I'm learning a game. And I guess a lot of video people take the time to learn how to play before they ever hit record. I'm not one of them. So if that annoys you, this isn't for you. I gave that speech because I just had somebody go bonkers on me a couple days ago, and I don't honestly know what they were thinking because I said almost the same exact speech at the beginning of that video as well. Anyways, let's get started. Thank you for joining me at the table. This game, how do I describe it? It's tagged as like a Civ Builder-ish Agricola, but it's a bigger campaign kind of deal. When I say Agricola, I'm not talking about the popular game Agricola. I'm talking about the Hollandspiel Agricola game, which is very different and probably not as well known. And so I think I was told that the rules are very similar, and I probably should have started with Agricola, but I heard this one was more epic, and so I went with the more epic one because I happen to like epic games. So my impression from reading the rules is that this is a lot like a victory point game or a state of siege type game. And except this one is, you can be a lot more, there's more aggression in this one. But there's got some state of siege type of elements to it. And let's jump in. And so Charlemagne, Master of Europe. The goal of the game is to make it to round 12. And every round, I'm going to zoom in here. So see round 10 there? It has a 27 in the top left corner. That is a wealth threshold. And then it has a 52 in the top right corner. That is a army threshold. And then the 90 on the bottom right is a score threshold. The number of actions you get every turn is variable. And it's got a neat little cup system that we're going to do to dictate when actions occur. And you can see that on turn 1 there, the bottom right number is a 3. And then it goes to an 8 on turn 2 and a 13 on turn 3. If you fail to have those victory points, you lose. So you have to maintain a certain victory point threshold as you go through progress through the turns. And we have to make it all the way to turn 12. But that isn't it. We have to do a few more things. And they got a nice little player guide here that tells you exactly what you need to do. We have to meet the VP threshold, always. We can't allow Moors on the map. We must be the Holy Roman Emperor. We must be King of the Lombards. And we have to have 3 bridges and roads built, regions of bridges and roads. If we fail to meet the VP threshold, we lose immediately. If we fail to satisfy a win condition at the end game, which is what I just read. If we lose a single battle, we lose the game. If the Moors advance past Poitiers, I'll talk about that in a second. And then if the intrigue results in an overthrow, there is a possibility that you can just get overthrown if you don't have enough wealth and stuff to deal with intrigue issues. So the Moors are going to come in through Spain here, and this is very state of siege-like. They're going to progress along, and if they ever get to here, it's like tower defense. Then once they get to here and they progress one more time, we lose. So we can't let them march all the way through Spain and into modern-day France. So that's the idea. Now, a couple of things. I guess let's just jump into setup. The game is set up as it currently stands. Here's the static stuff that's true for every game. Obviously, you put a game turn marker on 1. There's a turn in marker on 4 and on 8. And they give you a nice little box to remind you that that's where it goes. And there's a box on both of them, so you don't have to remember. Obviously, the victory point starts at 0. There's this thing called EVP track. That starts at 0. And then there's the treasury taxation. I sort of wish they had boxes on this one, but they don't. The taxes start at 4, and the treasury starts at 5. There is a forced pool, and you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either count what's in the forced pool and do it that way, or you can just do it this way. You're getting 4 of every unit, 4 level 1 infantry, 4 level 2 cavalry. They have a name for it, but I can't remember it. It's cavalry. 4 level 3 infantry, 4 level 2 cavalry, and 4 level 3 cavalry. So we have a lot of the cavalry. The cavalry are actually the best units in the game. They're like the king's protectors, according to... there's something wrong here. That's what it is. This is not a cavalry. Here we go. This was level 2 infantry. That's what that was supposed to be. So that means this guy is here. And this one's... I set it up wrong, so I'm a cheater. Okay, 4 level 1 infantry, 4 level 2 infantry, 4 level 3 infantry, 4 level 2 cavalry, 4 level 3 cavalry. Then these are just force pool that we can recruit later in the game. And there's level 2 cavalry. There's 4 of them that are available. And then the level 3 and level 4. And then level 3 infantry. So the idea is you can never really buy these units on the right side. You can only buy an infantry from here for $1 or a cavalry from here for 2. There, it's called a Scara. There's the name for it. So the idea is after they go into battle, they get experience points and level up. But the experience points are simple. If you win a battle, you level up. I'll explain that later. But that's how you progress. And it's got a neat little idea. These cavalry, for example, can promote to level 4. And then if they promote to level 4, at the end of the game round, they actually retire. So you do get the benefit from them being at level 4 strength, but only for the rest of that turn. Once you hit the turn end, they retire. Now, that sounds awful, and it sort of is, except you get victory points for them retiring. So it's actually, you get a benefit for it. And it could be a sound part of your strategy, right? To score the victory point threshold that you need to continue with the game. So that's the units. And I'll explain real quick. The infantry here has the 2 is the attack value and the 4 is the defense value. You can see the 4 looks like it's a little bit of a shield. And so that's how you read those. They're very straightforward and simple. This isn't a highly complex game, which is, I think, an attractive feature of this game is that it's real easy to get into, but yet it's a really good puzzle. we're going to find out as I get into my first play, but I've already can tell you there's a lot of choices, and I have no idea what the right first thing to do is. Okay, so then the other thing you do is you set up, this is Alan Dallas. He's at peace with us, and then the Byzantine Empire is at peace with us. Those tokens are real easy to find. They're white and bright. This reminds me of the Texas song. The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Okay, the other thing you do is you put this little -1 here in Rome. And that indicates that we have a -1 influence with the Holy Roman Empire, with the Roman Church. And one of the things, in order to become two things we have to do to win the game is we have to be the king of Lombard, which right now is this guy. So we have to defeat him, and that's the first step. The second step is to be crowned the Holy Roman Empire ourselves, and the only way to do that is you got to get this to +2, and right now it's at a -1, and so that's something else we have to deal with. And in fact, here's the other token with the +2, so we need to get all the way to +2. Okay, so that's the static stuff. There's one other static thing, and that is you, the player, Mr. Charlemagne, starts right here. And I see the city all the time in Germany. What is the right way to pronounce it? Aachen? Aachen? I don't know. But you start there. Okay, now, the setup for the rest of this is a little convoluted. It's very straightforward if you read the rules. So I'm not saying it's convoluted that way. But it's got a neat little system, so that way every game you play is not going to be exactly the same. And so I think that's pretty cool. And we have these 4 cups you need for the game. The first cup, I ended up having 5 cups. The first cup is filled with these markers, and they have a yellow band on one side of them. And you can see they have just numbers on them, and they're enemy troops. Okay, this is called the battle cup, and all of it goes in a cup and it's set to the side. Now what they have you do is they have you start with green here, and you throw all the green in a cup, and then you keep drawing until you have 4 of them in Lombardy, or 3 of them. So I made sure I had 3 of them, and you draw as many as you need to get 3. So if the first 3 you draw is Lombardy, then you stop. But as you can see, I didn't get quite so lucky. I kept drawing more here and there. So Italy has a ton of troops in it. So there's some variability like that. And so then after you do that, you then move on to, I can't remember I think we moved on to Spain. And then we drew exactly 4. Yes. This one was exactly 4, so that one didn't change. So then we went to Paris, and rather than guessing, I'll just tell you what it says. So for green, you're drawing until you get 3 Lombardy. Then for yellow, you draw units 1 at a time until you've drawn 4. So it's just a straight up 4. For purple, you put them in a friendly cup, you draw 1 at a time until you have drawn 3. Then transfer the cup into unfriendly cup. So this is a friendly cup, an unfriendly cup, and an enemy cup. And the friendly cup, when you're doing setup at the beginning of the game, you would throw stuff in there and then draw until you filled up the board properly. And then you would take it and dump it into one of the other cups. So they may start off in the friendly cup, but they don't stay there. It's just, for this. So then you get to place a marquee marker, and the marquee marker is this red marker you see here. And you get to choose Spain or Breton, Breton being the purple up there, yellow is Spain. It's your choice. I chose Breton. I have no idea if that was the right choice. Okay, so orange. Orange is basically the Balkans over here. And so you place all of them into the friendly cup, draw one at a time until you get 4. So this is a static 4. Then brown, which is up north there. So basically that's your Sweden, Norway area. Or maybe even where the Knights Templar were, you know, just northern Germany, really. You're drawing 4 brown units, and that's the other cool thing about this. This is mixed in with the orange units, these guys. So they get mixed together, and then you're drawing 4 brown, but you could possibly draw more orange. So then the orange is actually going to have more than 4. And you can see in my setup, I got exactly 4 because I never drew an orange, so I got lucky. And then blue. Place the blue intrigue markers and enemy map units in a friendly cup, and Charlemagne there. So we don't actually... so here's the first thing that you need to understand. Our troops are not on the board. The only thing that's on the board are enemy troops, and then there's our Marquis, and then Charlemagne himself. The troops are what we have here. This is our troops. This is our army, okay? And so that's it. That's all you need to do for setup. I probably spent way more time explaining this to you than it actually will take you. So, and I also wanted to comment one more thing. The component quality of this is awesome. This cardboard is super thick, and it punches so nice, and I don't have any tear. I mean, this is the way I want every one of my games to be. And just, you know, being able to stack them, they're real easy to feel with my fingers, so I can feel I just picked up 3 or 4. I really like the component quality. The map is crap paper. I like mounted boards. But, I mean, it's a small company, and I'm not faulting them for it. It's just, in terms of component quality, these are really nice. And I do have the map under plexiglass, so that's why you're seeing it nice and flat. Otherwise, it would not have been flat. It was actually going to be quite the troublemaker. So, yeah. And then I guess the last thing I can say about component quality is that when you open it, it smells like fingernail polish. Or turpentine, maybe, which I think is pretty much the same thing these days. It's got quite a smell to it. And so if you, if it's wintertime and it's cold out and, you don't want to drive to the gas station to get your rush of inhaling, to get you through another miserable week of your life, you can always just open a box of a new board game and get the same effect. And make sure you do it in a room with all the doors and windows closed, and you'll be sitting fine for quite a while. So, yes, it is that strong. But it doesn't bother me now. Like, I don't smell it at all anymore. It doesn't stink up your house. Don't get me wrong, but it does. It smells like fingernail polish when you open it, and those new games smell. And it doesn't last more than a few minutes, but it is funny how it happens that way. So, anyways, I was warned, by the way, when I was told or recommended to get one of these. I was warned about it, so it's not like it took me by surprise. Anyways, thank you for joining me. I'm going to hit end, and we're going to get started in the next video. Stay awesome.